Alright, once you graduate from UTMB, you won't have access to SPSS, and it's prohibitively expensive unless you're affiliated with a university or some large organization that has site licenses. So I wanted to show you this other statistical software that's free and open source, and actually more people use R than use SPSS or SAS or Stata or Minitab or any of the other statistical softwares that are out there, because this one's free and it's constantly being updated by users all over the globe. So it's called CRAN, the CRAN project, Comprehensive R Archive Network, and R, this is the symbol for R. You just go, I've already downloaded it to my machine. You have it for Mac, you have it for Linux. There's a bunch of stuff. I mean, it's so much to learn, but I have this document that I'll post in the Blackboard site. R&Rcmdr is a package that you can install that will turn the interface into something that's similar to SPSS. It's not the same, but it's similar. So once you've installed it and you've gotten it on your machine, it looks like this. Now this is actually new to me because when I first installed R, it was just the console, this box here, right? None of this other stuff was here. And this is called a GUI, G-U-I, Graphical User Interface. I happen to have 64-bit, but they have it for 32-bit as well. And I think when you install it, it installs both, so you need to know what you have. Because I was clicking on the 32-bit and it wasn't working until I realized I had a 64-bit. Okay. So anyway, once you've done that, you can go, you see you've got file, which, you know, is similar to what we're used to in SPSS. You can source R code, start a new script, all of those things. Okay, so I'm going to install a package. I go to install packages, and it says to secure CRAN mirror. Okay, so what does that mean? That's just, I'm not really sure exactly. I just remember when I first became familiar with R, that you have to pick the mirror that's closest to where you are. So I'm in Texas, and here it is, USA, Texas. You just pick the nearest state to where you are. If you're not exactly sure, just pick one of the ones nearby. And then you say OK, and that's going to be where the package is drawn from. And then we want R&Rcmdr, and it's not C, like commander spelled out, it's abbreviated. So I'm going to get to R down here. There's a bunch. Here we go. There it is up here. These are all the plugins. I want that one, R&Rcmdr, and I would say OK, but I'm not going to do it because I've already installed it. Now the other thing is when I did it, it said it wouldn't like run or load without having lavaan, which is a package that you would use for structural equation modeling. I don't know why it needs lavaan, but I installed it and then it worked. So if your computer tells you anything that you need an extra package, just go look for it in here and you can install it. Where is lavaan? There's so many things. Here it is. It's that one, L-A-V-A-A-N. And so I'm not going to do that either because I've already done it. So once I'm here, I can just go in and I say, now I want the library, because I've installed the package. Now it's called the library, R&Rcmdr, close parentheses, and hit enter. And give it a second. And then I get this interface, right? And that doesn't look too much like SPSS to me, but it's got a bunch of things that we can do that make life a lot easier than having to type in code. Because that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't use R, is because it's pretty steep of a learning curve if you don't know anything about coding. So let's import data. We're going to import it from an SPSS data set. Okay, excuse me, I'm going to call it enrollment, because that's what I'm going to do. Oh, it had that convert, let me go back and say, import data from SPSS. I want to show you, convert character variables to factors. So what that means is if a variable is already written in words, like if we had the value labels as words instead of as numbers, it will just take those character variables and do the value labels on the back end. So instead of us going in and typing in the word, it's going to just automatically give it a number and keep the label. So it's a little bit easier. So I'm going to call it enrollment, and I'm going to go and look for it, and it's already in my folder. So here it is, enrollment data, and I want not the Excel, I want the SAV file. Now normally I would have to type all that in. See how that's a little bit prohibitive? I would have to go find my directory, find out where it is, and then tell it row names false, strings as factors true, to lower false. And I don't want to do that, so I just, that's why I use this interface. Okay, so now let's just take a quick look at our data. Came over on my other screen. All right, so we have, here's my data set. This is what it would look like if I were in data view, right? We don't have variable view in this. So like particularly this one. So here we have gender as zeros and ones. So I'm gonna have to label that because it thinks it's a number. But here we have athlete, not an athlete, athlete, etc. And let's see what else we got. A bunch of continuous variables. All right, so let me X out of that. And I'm going to manage variables in active data set. And what I want to do is I'm going to convert the numeric variable to factor. So give it a new variable name or prefix for multiple variables. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to overwrite gender. And it's going to say, it already exists. Do you want to overwrite the variable? And I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to say 0 is male and 1 is female. And I'm going to say okay. Alright, so that's done. Now, what I can do is I can do statistics. Let's go to means. Let's do an independent samples t-test on commute time by gender and say okay. And here we have a Welch 2-sample t-test, and we can see that the commute time by gender, we have our t value is 0.96805, so our p-value is not significant. There is no difference. And the male mean is 27.6 and the female mean is 26.4. Alright, I'm just going to do a couple of other things to show you what R Commander can do. So we've done an independent samples t-test. Let's go into graphs and let's create a histogram. Let's look at English 2 and just say okay, and it actually doesn't put it in the output down here, but it gives me in the graphics window pane, it gives me the histogram. Okay, let's go back. So I have to click into R Commander. Let's do a box plot. So we're going to do box plot by group. Let's do it by athlete. Say okay, and let's do writing. Say okay, and I think it'll be over here. Here we go. So we have athlete, not an athlete, and we can see that they're pretty much the same. We've got a few outliers that have been marked for us. One last thing I want to show you that's pretty cool is this 3D graph. Let's do a 3D scatter plot. So now, so you have 2 explanatory variables and 1 response variable. And in order to click the 2 of them, you have to hold down your control key. So I'm going to look at height, I'm going to look at weight, and then I'll have my outcome as sleep time. I'm going to say okay. And then I go over here and I get this thing. Let me make it big. And so what you can do is you can grab it and move it around. So if you want to look at it and we just look at the variables weight and time, this would be our 2-dimensional scatter plot. If we wanted to look at sleep and height, that's our two-dimensional scatter plot. And then we could look at, let's see, how am I going to get it over there? I want height, weight. Not the easiest thing. Here we go. Weight and height. So that's pretty cool. And then there's just, let's just go back to R and Rcmdr. There's like a bunch of different things that you can do, but if you look at that document that I posted and follow it, you'll most likely be able to follow it and do all the things that we've been doing in SPSS. You'd be able to do it in this environment.